Hello, my name is Vinny, and I have a guest with me here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jordan Whitaker. I instruct esports here at George Mason University, and also work for student involvement. So I kind of have a shared role between sports management and student involvement, helping grow esports and our programs.
Nice, nice. So you say you're into esports. What got you into esports or just gaming in general?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I'm a little bit old myself. I'm a '90s child. I grew up with Game Boys, early PlayStations, like the first PlayStations there were, and enjoyed gaming, but sort of fell out of touch with it as I was getting more serious about my studies. And also, I played a ton of traditional sports. I was a huge hockey player, a martial artist, and when I finished with grad school and went to professional world, I was working a lot. Right, I was working consulting here in the DC area, and I didn't really have time to do like go to soccer fields or like ice rinks and do those types of hours. But what I was able to do was compete in competitive gaming, and I had a great time with my friends. You can do gaming from anywhere, and it was just a great way of having that kind of team camaraderie that I missed from being on a traditional sports team, and feeling like I'm striving towards a goal. That competition, the fierceness, the watching yourself improve is just amazing to me.
Yeah, that's one of the other things I like about esports too. It's so easy to get into, and then just kind of grind and work at it. It's
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you say you teach. You're a professor. You're
Yes.
teaching esports, like an esports class.
That's
So
correct.
so what do you learn in that class?
Yeah, it's interesting because whenever somebody who's not too familiar with esports asks me, "What do you teach in esports?" they quickly assume that, okay, you just play video games or do you coach video games? But actually, esports is way larger than that because it's become a full fledged industry that's mature. We see that esports is actually very interdisciplinary. You can study a lot of different things in esports if you're pursuing a major or minor. You could be pursuing broadcast and production, for example, business management, because there's a ton of esports businesses. There's service industry dedicated to supporting esports, like apparel providers. There's marketing skills. There is actual team and coaching management. So if you're into sports management as well, you could be studying esports. It's a really diverse field. What I teach in the Fundamentals for Esports course is a bit about the history of competitive gaming. Because believe it or not, we've actually had esports for close to 50 years. It's just that we haven't called it esports until the year 2000, basically. And so over the decades, we had a series of evolutions of games, arcade games and things like that, or early consoles. The advent of the internet, changing the whole dynamic of how gaming was immersive as an experience. And because it became immersive, people started to compete in it more and more. And then over time, that became a more legitimate practice, and esports and competitive gaming became a formal thing. So I teach a lot about the history and the background so that people can understand it. And then I also teach about the current industry as it is, because it's a very complex field. There's college, there's high school, there's middle school, there's international esports, there's national esports. Esports is so complex that it takes a long conversation, and academic courses to help people get familiar with the industry are really important for education.
So you'd say like this class is for like beginners who don't really know much about esports instead of just like people who kind of already know.
Exactly. The
Okay.
fundamentals of competitive gaming course, which I teach here at Mason, is super important, but very accessible for everybody. Actually, the course was designed to be for somebody who knows nothing about competitive gaming. You might not even know anything about gaming in general. It's at that very entry level accessibility stage where people are able to come into the class and know nothing but learn a lot. Yeah.
hmm So I did some research on you before this interview, and I saw that you had some involvement with Nova and their esports program. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so actually, Nova was the first place that I formally worked for an esports program in the college scene. I made a difficult decision to end my career as a consultant doing national security related work, and I left Deloitte, which was a large company and making tons of money. I took a leap on esports to make almost nothing, but I was passionate about it. I had to make a life choice at that stage of my life, and Nova, as a community college, a lot of people might have their mental predispositions, but actually Nova had a very early supported program by the president of the school, and the athletics director. So the program actually started in late 2017 underneath the athletics department as a full-fledged offering. The same level of support as the basketball team and things like that had as well. So it came in with a lot of support, personal branded chairs, a dedicated space for esports, looking like a very mature program right immediately. And then kind of grew over time, and we fielded a bunch of successful teams winning national championships at the junior college level, and actually achieved a letter of congratulations from the governor of Virginia, which is cool, because when you think about gaming, one of the most important things with gaming is having that validity, right? Being legitimized to the public's eye. But of course, there's always difficulties in terms of budgets and things like that, and making sure that activities are sustainable. So there's always challenges in the scene. But the esports program is a cool community, and a lot of Nova people, of course, they end up here at Mason as well and play for Mason.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you talked about Nova and their program. How would you compare Nova's program compared to GMU's program in just comparisons?
Yeah, no. It's interesting to see both sides of it. I love both because they both have like very unique and distinct offerings. Nova's is kind of interesting because even though we've been pretty successful at the junior college level, Nova's spread out among so many campuses that we find every year that a lot of people don't know there's an esports program until it's like too late, right? It's weird. It's hard for people across all of Northern Virginia to understand what their offerings are. And Mason has also been growing so fast and has so much going on every single year that I think a lot of people miss out on Mason's like potential as well. So it's kind of interesting to watch two programs that have so many great players, such a great infrastructure, and so much potential have to contend with the fact that their institutions are large. So that's a similarity. But they are different. Nova's, I'd say, over time, and COVID didn't help, but a lot of budgets and things like that have decreased. I know Nova, the president has a stance on how to manipulate the budget, and they're actually going to dissolve their athletics department.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a very big development, and we're not quite sure how that's going to impact the esports program. We've been trying to move towards campus recreation, so we're going to continue, but the level of support there, it has a lot of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And during COVID, because of financial constraints and a lot of attention to hiring, they did away with the full-time position for esports. And so it's kind of just been me and one other individual who part-time co-run the program. And Mason's is huge. Mason's program is unbelievably huge. You can see that it's really driven by a lot of passionate and dedicated students. I mean, the people here at Mason who work in the esports program, they get either as volunteers or people who get like work study kind of roles. They work very hard and they're extremely passionate and they care a lot about what they do, and it drives so much of the success. You can see it, coming together for large events like Game Mason, things like that. Not a lot of schools can pull things like that together, and it's really impressive. And on top of that, there's managing a huge community. There's getting amazing socials posts out all the time with top-notch work, content creation. It's impressive what Mason's built. It's large. And I hope that, the state of Virginia and also kind of the region acknowledges that Mason has potential to be like one of the best destination places for esports in North America.
Yeah, I totally agree with your statement there, because I feel like GMU Esports is very, like you said, run on passion pretty much. Like,
big time.
I feel like there's people just show up on their off hours. Like GMU Esports is kind of like their life on campus, So people really care for it. And yeah, it's grown like crazy in the past like couple years. So it's crazy to see.
And also without like the most money support either, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way as Nova. Both of these programs, with very limited funding, they're able to do something amazing for hundreds, if not thousands, of students over years. I've talked with a lot of students, and everybody I speak with who gets involved with esports at Mason or at Nova, after they leave the school, they say, yeah, the esports program was like the hugest part of my experience.
Mm-hmm. So I did some more research on you before, and I looked on your LinkedIn, and it says you have multiple degrees at different universities. Would you like to explain those degrees?
Sure. I did my undergraduate studies at Syracuse for political science, and then, growing up, I thought that I would have to follow in my parents' footsteps and work for the government. And so that's kind of why I was in that track. I really enjoyed being at Syracuse. Tough winters, though. Very long and tough winters. People get excited when it's above 40 degrees out there. It's kind of funny. But it was a good time. And then I did my master's at William and Mary, which has a really cool esports program as well, with a really cool progressive and dedicated director down there. Dr. King, she's remarkable. She's a powerhouse and a really great advocate for so many different causes within esports. But William and Mary, when I was there, didn't have esports at all, of course.
Wow.
And it's fun to be able to see these schools that I went to growing stuff like that. But William and Mary compared to Syracuse, a smaller school, not as big a sports school, quiet tourist town kind of area, and much safer. Really, really different experiences. But I'm grateful to have been a part of both of them because it's just I feel like they were right for me at that time of my life.
Nice. And then, so you said that you made like a really, like, I would say a tough decision switching to esports. Like, what kind of was your thought process? Like, a little more detail into that, because like the degrees you had, they're pretty big stuff, and you said you were working at a pretty big company at the time. So,
Yeah.
So that must have been quite a lot to think about.
Yeah. It's really, really, really personal. I was working for a Big Four company, and Deloitte. I mean, they make multiple dozens of billions a year, and I was making six figures before I was 30 years old. And honestly, without too much effort, the commute in DC is always annoying. So I hated that aspect. But I was like, quote unquote, set up, right? And I could have had a simple and comfortable direction. But what ended up happening was a series of events that was kind of very painful for me, and had to push me to think about how I spend my time in my life. 2016, my mother passed away suddenly with no warnings, serving the government in South Africa, working for the U.S. government. She was helping the embassy there, manage the embassy there. It was very painful. And then a year later, my aunt, who was like a mother to me growing up, I used to call her my mother, actually, because we just spent so much time together. Filipino families spend a lot of time together, and aunts and uncles help raise family. My mom's younger sister passed away here in Woodbridge, Virginia, same way as my mother.
Dang.
No second chances, no warnings, nothing like that. Sudden cerebral hemorrhage.
Wow.
And then a year after that, this is now 2018, both my grandmothers passed away, which was difficult. More expected, but it doesn't let you heal from like these traumas, right? These brutal kind of things that scar you. And 2019, I got married to my wife. 2 weeks after that, unfortunately, another younger aunt passed away suddenly in her home by herself. It was very tragic. And then 2 months after my wedding, my wife had to have a gumball-sized tumor removed from below her ear in her neck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then my cat, at the same time, my cat of 18 and a half years, who was a huge part of my identity, I just felt was passing away as well. And so everybody who was close to me, all of my support network, suddenly died. This is like 2019.
Yeah.
And I was there alone in Nashville, where my wife was having the surgery from one of the specialists in this specific type of tumor that mostly affects women. And I was alone, and I was thinking to myself, like, what am I doing with my life and my time? I push a PowerPoint or reports across, and somebody says, wow, this is amazing, and I never hear about it again. I don't hear about how it affects people positively. It's not very satisfying work. Yeah, I'm making money, but I don't care about it, So I started to reach out and try to get work experience in esports and look for jobs and things like that. This was after 2016 kicked off the big craze of esports in North America, where a lot of the professional sports teams were buying esports franchises, and Mark Cuban and everybody, Shaquille O'Neal, Jennifer Lopez, everybody was buying into esports, throwing millions of dollars in the scene. And it made it possible for me to think that I could get a career in esports. So come 2020, early 2020, in January 2020, right before COVID, I made the decision to switch to giving up my comfortable salary and taking like a 95% pay cut to work in esports for Nova. And then fortunately, because I was really proud of my work and just really happy to be doing what I'm doing, Syracuse saw me and reached out to me and said, hey, could you develop courses for us in esports? And so I did. And then that led to conversations with George Mason as well, because everybody in the esports community kind of knows each other at some point in college.
Especially collegiate, for sure.
Exactly. And, so now I have the privilege of developing courses and teaching here. And we're hoping to debut a minor that I helped work on for esports in the fall.
Wow, that's a crazy
long story.
Yeah, crazy story. But that's
why I'm in esports.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, just like knowing your passions and trying to go for it instead of just grinding out the work. I mean, it's good that you're doing something that you actually enjoy and it can make an impact to a bunch of people.
Yeah, like you said, with the students that do the work here for esports, everything is in esports is passion driven, big time.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So. We're almost out of time, but I have a couple extra questions for you that should be a bit more fun. So you said you've been playing games all the time. You play like Game Boy and stuff like that. So what is your favorite game? What is your favorite game of all time?
League of Legends.
League of Legends?
Yes, I'm a League of Legends player. I coached high level for it. And was relatively high ranking in North America myself. It's just part of my identity now. I have League of Legends tattoos.
Oh wow.
League of Legends played a huge role in my life. It helped me get through a lot of hardships. It helped me disconnect at the end of long days when I was feeling stressed. It served me well, honestly, and helped stoke the flames of the passion for esports.
Nice. And then, so would you say that's your favorite esports game as well to watch as well?
Yes. I love League of Legends. I think it's a complex game that somehow finds a way to stay fresh. It's got a unique formula, and is always very exciting. And the culture and the history is there too.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Good while.
Yeah.
So another question I got for you. You like gaming, right? Do you have any other hobbies besides gaming?
Yes, I'm a huge enthusiast, partially because of my family health history of exercise and fitness. I go to the gym every morning. I have a 2-year-old. I'm gonna definitely teach to think about health.
Oh, nice.
And priorities in life and stuff like that. So any exercise or things that are healthy, focusing on fitness and stuff like that. I don't do it to get large muscles or stuff like that. I do it mostly for the reality, and it's that we have one body and one life. The more we take care of it, the better off we can age and have a better quality of life. So because of that, I go to the gym. I do martial arts. Stay as active as possible. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. So do you have anything else to say to anyone who's listening? Because this might be posted somewhere.
Yeah,
online.
Absolutely. One of the interesting things about life is that our minds are extremely powerful. And the world has become so complex and so full of arbitrary competition and a lot of stressors, really. There will be a million things in this world to tell you no, okay? So when you're contending with your own mind and having your own conversations within yourself, you have to be the one to always tell yourself yes. You have to be the one to always tell yourself that there's an opportunity and that you are worth it, and not shut the door on yourself, because there will already be enough things in life that try to shut the door for you. Just keep going and focus on giving yourself those opportunities and giving yourself those chances. Never count yourself out.
Nice. That was well thought out. That was great.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for spending your time with me for this little podcast thing. But I hope you have a great day.
Yes, my pleasure.
Day and the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny. I appreciate being here.